Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Hello, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, you go ahead and start at the top. You know, I just want to get this on because people understand what's really going on.
You know, it's a warm-up. This is somewhere around late 50s, maybe 1962. And you see, like you said, you see children out there. It looks like a picnic. You don't see any black people out there hardly, except the ones they show trying to loot. And they look like they need to be in a gym instead of marching out with an armload of Nikes. It's bad. And you see a lot of gay folk, black and white, but you don't see what you'd expect. You get Black Lives Matter, which ought to be designated as Black Lesbians Matter. If you read their manifesto, and I just sent you a copy of that.
That's why I call them now, Judge. I'm just going to name it what it is. I don't care about no allies or friends. I mean, it's time for the truth to come out.
It's ridiculous. It's anti-black man. It's anti-family. It's anti-children.
That's right.
It pushes transvestitism. It pushes pedophilia. It pushes lesbianism. It doesn't even promote, really, homosexual males. I mean, it's horrible. Starts out good, but, I mean, it gets real revolting about 1/4 into it on their manifesto. But people don't know. They're being misled. They're using black faces out there to push another agenda, which, by the way, is being advanced at very fast pace while all this is going on. You've got Cory Booker crying about the anti-lynch bill, which is basically nothing that has to do with that. It's more trying to insinuate pedophilia and transvestitism into the federal law. And it's not a good thing. We don't need an anti-lynch bill. We've had one for 135, 140 some years. They're quite effective. It's still on the books. So we got a lot of nonsense. And you see KKK types, you see neo-Nazi types, and they're out there, and they're certainly not protesting one dead black man, Mr. Floyd. It's an opportunity. It's a trigger. There's a lot of built-up frustration, hostility, and aggression that wants to be displaced. So this is a trigger. We see a lot of white people doing this and very few blacks. It's a distraction. This is, like I said, about anywhere from 5 to 12 years, 7 years before, 8 years before things started happening in 1965, and then for the balance of the 60s, where black folk got involved other than being down on knees and praying and getting butt whipped while some other folk felt guilty about it. This is one populated by tree huggers. Save poor Oscar out in the kennel where he is freezing during the winter and doesn't know love, and send ASPCA $19.95 a month to save the polar bears. That's what you're looking at for the greatest, to a great extent. What people are mad about? They killed him by putting that cop put his knee in his neck. No, that's not what killed him. I've been taking martial arts for 55 years, and I've done what this cop did. It's a good way to restrain somebody peacefully. You just restrict the carotid arteries on one side of the neck. The guy feels like he's at 11 to 12,000 feet altitude and has very little energy and is getting mildly sick and is going to have a headache. When you release the pressure 10, 15, 20 minutes later, it won't kill him. But now he's down on the ground, held this way, and that's what you see in the videos they put out, and you hear him say, "I can't breathe." But what you don't realize is contemporaneously with "I can't breathe," some other oversized cop puts his knee in his back, and that causes him to be unable to mechanically breathe, and he's already starved for oxygen to the brain, and he starts reflexively thrashing and struggling. So a third and a fourth cop come up and put their knees in the back, and he asphyxiates. He smothers to death. It wasn't the knee. It was the knees and the back that killed him, but they only killed him because of the compromise of his circulatory system by the knee and the neck. So, I mean, find out what you're hollering about.
So is the charge correct on the officer then? They charge him correctly or they didn't charge him correctly?
Well, what it looks like is it's certainly reckless homicide. It's criminally negligent homicide. And you have to understand there's a big move by the state, which is trying to look officious, and the local county, and they're trying to escape massive civil liability. I don't think they intended to kill the man. That would be damn foolish with so many witnesses. I think it was stupidity and ignorance of what they were doing. It's like choking people out. I know how to do it. The last time I did it, I was 66 years old, and it was in a 5-star club in Aspen, Colorado, when some big 6'4" New Zealander got out of hand and punched my wife and goddaughter, and I took him down, choked him out, and let him revive, choked him out again, and then told him I was really gonna do him in, and then yanked him up, and some retired NFL all-pro linebacker escorted him outside. Management said, "Oh, you were having a nice time having a drink at the bar when all this happened, weren't you?" Yeah. I had an alibi. But the bottom line is if you do this, you have to keep a rough count. And when you get to 15, no more than 20, you ease the pressure because you can do brain damage if you hold it more. This is not a high chokehold where you block the person's airway, ram their esophagus back up next to the tongue, and get the Adam's apple rammed up, and you cut out their ability to breathe, and then they start struggling. That doesn't just subdue anybody. That's movie stuff. If you do this thing where you occlude the carotid arteries, which doesn't take a great deal of pressure, somebody can still breathe. They feel like they're getting oxygen, but they pass out in 15 seconds. They lose their sight at 10, and then they faint at 15. You let them go, and they thrash around on the floor and revive on their own. But you see, a lot of these cops had adrenaline flowing, and they forgot to keep count, so they were killing people. That's a training issue.
Okay.
So they basically say don't do it. So now they outlaw chokeholds, which have already been debunked because, you know, a little knowledge can be a dangerous thing.
So my this is, go ahead, Judge.
But I'm just saying, know what you're looking at. And another thing, too, I'm looking at exploitation of this. The Democrats are trying to attack the Republicans, particularly Trump. The Republicans are attacking the Democrats. And as a matter of fact, this is a malaise that has been building up for 50 years. They have stripped the country of principle and guiding purpose, and they have made it into a fun, hedonistic storm that has been dominated by the LGBTQ crowd. That's their First Amendment right to do so, but they've been doing it, and they've been destroying masculinity on purpose and destroying the family, which, by the way, that's one of their main targets in that BLM, Back Lesbians Matter thing.
That's the right name.
Destruction of the family and the destruction of manhood. They specifically stated. So that is a product of all of that, and it's frustration. And what's going on right now is the public, 50 years after the last time it happened, is finally being a pressure cooker that has had the lid tamped down on and the fire turned up high, and it's going to blow. Something's going to blow. And you blew a little one of those safety gaskets that they have, or containers in the top of a pressure cooker lid, but that's not enough. And when the public begins to get used to this kind of thing, then it's really going to blow. Now, the other point is all of these people out there gathered around with COVID-19 lurking, that's going to spread it. It's another interesting thing. You look at the right-wing types, they, after demonstrating about having to be in and showing up in state legislative bodies with guns, they have on masks. And see, there are federal laws that make it a federal felony to demonstrate with mask on. That's why you see the Klan now, they don't have their faces covered because it's against federal law. So they get away with it because of COVID-19. It's an ideal situation. But we've got a huge hurricane season coming up, tornado season, and that spread sewage, and they've already been sampling sewage in the likely target areas for the weather activity, and it has a great contamination, great level of contamination with what causes COVID-19. Is it something that came out of a lab? Well, it doesn't make any difference. It's just like a Frankenstein monster. Once Dr. Frankenstein made it, it's on its own, and it's out of control, and it's got a mind of its own, even though it doesn't have a mind. But, see, I don't just read the news. I go and get the research papers that are published for peer review. And they are put out there by a whole bunch of countries, okay? So you can read them. If you know what you're looking at, you can decipher what they're saying. And from what the DNA analysis is, this stuff didn't come out of a laboratory. Also, in terms of the number of higher order mammals and birds that it affects, this is unique in our experience because it looks like the first time we've ever encountered a pathogen that affects not only humans, but also the higher order animals that we usually associate with. Domestic cats and dogs, feral cats, lions, tigers, and by implication, foxes, coyotes, and wolves. Likely bear, too. It infects weasels. It infects civets, which are a form of weasels that the Chinese like to act. There's a documented case coming out of the Netherlands where a worker in a mink farm got infected by a mink that got infected by a feral cat. I mean, this is getting wild. You can infect chickens, cattle, food sources, and you've got a unique situation here. And this stuff mutates. It's what you call a beta coronavirus. We are very familiar with 4 of them because everybody that's listening has been infected by 4 of them. Those are the things that cause the common cold. And what is the old truth? There is no cure for the common cold. You have to get over it. Now, the problem with this 5th beta coronavirus is it kills 1 out of every 10 people. So just imagine that 1 out of every 10 people who caught a common cold died of it. As lined up in the laboratory, you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. You dead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Your mama's dead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Your daddy dead. Your brother's dead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Your good friend's dead. That's the way it works up. And this stuff has not run its course. It's beginning to ramp back up in places in this country. And areas that haven't been hit before are ramping up. So it's not good. Oh, yeah, well, it just hits the old folk. Well, there is a problem with that, too. They have a thing called a cytokine storm. that kills people. And what that's about is people who are very healthy, in great condition, with strong immune systems, react so strongly to something like this beta coronavirus that their own antibodies kill off their organs and kill them. So healthy people are dying. Now we've got a thing where it's hemorrhagic, where the children get all of these blotches under their skin because they're bleeding. Their livers bleed. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds die. So now don't get smug about it's just old people. So it's matching a curve from 1918 when a U.S. population of 103 million wound up having about 40,000 people dead by summer, and then they relaxed their guard just like they're doing now and ramped up between September 1918 and February 1919. Somewhere around 18 million Americans died. I heard about it from my father, who was born in 1910. He remembers it. I heard about it from my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't anything nice. That's a lot of people. And it morphed into something that made people sick, typical with the flu, but real sick for 2-3 weeks, into something that was killing people 24 to 48 hours after the first symptom. And it switched over from killing old folk before the summer to, at the summer's end, it was killing people 35 and under, most frequently 25 and under. So it's not something to take lightly, but it is what it is. And as far as we go, yeah, it's supposed to be a white conspiracy thing, white supremacist, but I told you I was driving through Memphis a few weeks ago, and I saw 7 people sitting on a front porch. They were passing a joint around, you know, and all these kids were running in and out of other folks' houses. You know, they were all from school, but hey, it is what it is. So it's a dangerous thing out there. You have to approach it with equanimity.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we are not in a revolution yet. Yeah, man, it's about to happen, man. The revolution's about to go down. No, it won't. And Gil Scott-Heron of the Jazz Messengers from 50 years ago, he's from Jackson, Tennessee, you know, Gil Scott-Heron. He said, revolution will not be televised. And there's more to it than that, but it won't be televised. People are saying, yeah, it's coming through social media. No, it's not coming through social media. I know for a fact that the feds have got people whose job is to monitor social media and observe the trends and interject stuff into it to counter it, and also send people to go pay more close attention. All right? So it ain't happening that way. Not yet. Not saying there won't be an opportunity for somebody enterprising to do something about, but one of the things I'd say, and you know I've told you about it, this sagged and bagged, walking around with your pants hung off your butt, if you needed to get up and do something, you ain't doing it with your pants down around your ankles. Word up. We are not ready for the revolution. And then we've got our colored elected officials who represent the LGBT folk real well that just happen to be black.
Mm-hmm.
They don't represent us. They're calling for everybody to be disarmed, and now that party is calling for cutback on police. So what are you supposed to do? Like if you live in the hood. I know the police are dangerous to us sometimes, but who are you going to turn to? And especially since you are about to be disarmed if these damn fools get their way. And then if you go to the gun shops around here and then you try to go online, they're out of ammo. People have been buying lots and lots of ammunition and guns. So everybody else is buying guns, but black folk are supposed to be disarmed. Damn fool advocating that can go straight to his mama's hell. You know,
even with like George Floyd dying the way he did, they still bring away something. We need gun control law. I mean, he killed him with his knee, or allegedly with a knee.
Well, there were knees. All 4 of the cops.
Knees, right. Well, you're not outlawing these, though.
Ability to free killing him. And they didn't indict them the way they should have. They're the ones that should have had the high bonds put on. They actually killed him. The other one just set the stage so they could. And then there's something most people don't know about. That whole block in that cupcake shop are supposed to be nominally hotbeds of mob activity by a Palestinian organized crime mob.
Yeah, the cup food place, right?
Stuff out there about counterfeit 20s coming from a source that's located close on to where this happened, and somebody, Mr. Floyd, allegedly passes a hot 20 back to perhaps the people that put the hot 20 out. You know, you get messing with the real gangsters, that's dangerous. Was this cop who supposedly, allegedly knew Mr. Floyd from working security with him, was he being an enforcer? We got, there's other deeper things behind here.
But what people don't realize about the Twin Cities, like St. Paul and Minneapolis, back in the day, that's where all the gangsters hanged out and hid at. Like John Dillinger, all them guys, they used to hid up in Minnesota and St. Paul and places like that. They always been known for corruption.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, the police up there are unusual because Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota, the state, is probably the most mixed racial state area urban center you can find in America.
Okay.
It used to be the terminus for the Underground Railroad, one of the terminus points where they'd get up there and they could be free.
Mm-hmm.
So that is interesting when you get into it. The Lakers. Why does the Los Angeles team have the crazy, unrelated name of the Lakers? Because they are from Minnesota, where you have the land of lakes. That's Minnesota, the Lakers. Way back in the 40s, the Lakers hired the first black man to play in the NBA. His name was Don Barksdale from UCLA. That's when it was the Minnesota Lakers. Don Barksdale, by the way, never played basketball. He was a football player and a track man. He was in an all-American backfield at UCLA that also contained Jackie Robinson as a halfback, who was the first brother to play in the major leagues for baseball, and also Kenny Washington, who was the first brother to play in the NFL. He played for the Rams. They were from Cleveland, the Cleveland Rams, before they moved to Los Angeles. And then they left and went to St. Louis and then back to L.A. And the Lakers moved from Minneapolis to L.A. And then you had the Brooklyn Dodgers that hired Jackie Robinson. They wound up in L.A. And then after Cleveland lost the Rams, they got an off-brand team known as the Browns, the Cleveland Browns. And they hired the third brother to play in major professional football, Marion Motley. And the Rams, meanwhile, hired Woody Strode right after they did Kenny Washington. And then they hired two more brothers, Deacon Dan Tower and Tank Younger, first two brothers to go play pro football out of Grambling. So, I mean, you got these locations where black people made these advances or had something to do with it, That's just an aside. So Minnesota will probably impress most black folk when they go there as being one of the least racist places in America. But I recall speaking to the Black Bar Association there some years ago. It was a very unpleasant experience for me because these Negroes were talking about, well, Judge, I'm sorry. We appreciated Vice President Dick Cheney much more than you. He spoke to where we are going, not this militancy and this fixation on the residual, what did you put it? Residual and remaining effects of racism. Racism is dead. Yeah, damn fool. Look at you now.
Wow.
This was in 2013. So what, 7 years later, now it's the epicenter for all of this reaction. Yeah, great.
It's fascinating, man. I mean, yeah, I mean, it just it blows the mind because also the way it was handled. Like you think, I mean, you as a prosecutor, you was DA in Memphis, you understand city government, you have a long distinguished career.
I was also the director of the public defender's office for Memphis too.
There you go. So I got to ask you how they handled it. You think they should have just arrested those 4 officers right away?
No. Let me tell you something. What has happened is this is part of the deterioration from over the last 50 years. Mm-hmm. We are used to instant gratification, whereas news used to be a 15-minute public service thing 60 years ago. Mm-hmm. And they would say, stay tuned. If any developments occur, we will interrupt our regular programming. Okay? Now you have 24/7 news. There is not that much going on, and they have to do sensationalistic crap to keep people tuned in for commercial ratings. Now, Johnny Cochran expressed it best in the O.J. trial. This is a rush to judgment. In other words, it takes time to go in and talk to people. People who are witnesses think about it and say, you know, I really should tell what I saw. So they have to be given time to develop it. Other people might say, you know, there was another guy, he had on a red jacket, running jacket, he was out there, and some green sweatpants. You might check with him. I'm not sure what his name. Anybody seen a guy? Oh, yeah, I think the dude's name is Earl. Earl who? Well, I don't know. Check with Jamal. Well, yeah, you know, like, look. Well, yeah, his name is Earl such and such, you know. So, see, you got to develop these leads. And we're used to this instant gratification. It does not happen like it does on television, where in 1/2 hour you can develop the whole story and find out what happened. So we have this expectation. Now, public attention does have the utility of focusing public public attention does have the utility of focusing on what's going on so people can't sweep it under the rug. That's a good thing. Okay? But past that, the worst thing is mob justice. And everybody's trying to count on social media to make sure these cops get convicted. The last thing black folk need to do is push that. Because for damn near all of this country's existence, we have been the victims of mob rule. We have been the victims of justice by newspaper, television, and news report and social media. And people forget that when they get something, it's usually a two-edged sword. Once you establish the precedent, it can work both ways. So here you go. We want the mob to be back in control of what happens when we've been whining and crying about what happened when the mob got black folk taken out. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't make sense. Does not make sense at all. And then we look at this debacle down here in Atlanta when all of these people took these COVID-19 checks and mobbed these sport shoe places to buy new Air Jordans. It's ridiculous.
So let me ask you this: what can be done in terms of police? The police. I mean, what can be done? Because people keep on talking about good cops and bad cops, but bad cops are protected by the police unions. They're protected by the infrastructure. And what can we do about police? I mean,
well, you take control of the political situation in your town.
Okay.
When Doc Harrington got elected in 1991, first thing he came out with is the police director is going to be fired if there is any slight transgression. He doesn't jump on immediately. And how many did we go through? 7 in a short period of time, because he fired all of them. So then you got leadership from the top down, and I told you about my experience some years ago. I was at a stop sign, and some little old lady was out there standing at the corner with a tray with a thermos of coffee on it and some donuts. And I wondered what she was doing, and she flagged down the local cops and gave donuts and coffee. That's how good police relations had improved. And see, when the police understand that you have something to do with calling the shots, they look at you as the boss. And what do you not do? You don't mess with the boss, do you?
You got some sense, you don't.
So it's not the police union so much as it is the fact that we lack political control. We don't pay attention to these issues when we vote for mayor. We pay attention to the mayor, but we can't elect the DA. We very seldom get black sheriffs, and usually they're running on some kind of other plank besides making it okay for black folk. And, like I ran for DA here. The voting machines are corrupted. The feds back in 2008 said they were corrupted and gave the county the money to replace every one of them. Well, the 3 colored that have varied over the last 12 years that always vote against the resolution to replace it while there's still the money there. I guess they were happy, and I ran against a dyke lesbian who is running for DA. She's a corrupt individual. In my court years ago, she tried to fix a case where she was going to let somebody with 4 kilos of coke and a pound of heroin and God knows 600-700 hits of crystal meth. She's given him 1 year unsupervised probation.
Wow.
If she had her way, I caught him, but that's who they elected. And this is a town where only 28% of the registered voters are white. That's for the county. For the city is only 19.1%. And they still haven't had a black DA. Now,
well,
wait a minute, one thing back on this. When Doc resigned to run for Congress, and the fix was on with that too, since then, the 2 mayors we've had since then, one of them was trying to please everybody. He's always done that, and when you try to please everybody, you please no one.
That's true.
And the next one is a racist scoundrel who is a know-nothing little popping fat boy who can't even walk through half the neighborhoods in Memphis. 19.1% of the registered voters, and he got elected the first time with 5 black folk in the race and no runoff, and the second time with what is that gay woman, Tammy Sawyer, who decides to run against Doc Harrington, and she's sitting up there pulling on the gay contingent in Memphis, and she's sitting up there on the county commission just a few weeks ago said, people are talking about we need to get rid of these machines. Well, we're not. Get over it.
She said that?
Yes, she did.
So I think
She split the vote. That's what her job was.
Okay. My thing is, if the votes are not being counted, like people are voting, and if the votes are not being counted, if the people that look like me are in elected office don't really care about that and make that priority,
Yeah, they don't.
That's by design then. What else can we do besides voting then if we can't?
Well, because we need to, there's a recall mechanism that is seldom used in Tennessee. We need to do it on the county commissioners. They need to be held to account because, well, let me tell you, I've said this before. I don't have it handy right now, but I have published on your show here the encryption code for these machines. Los Angeles and San Francisco published a joint pamphlet online telling you what to do if you get the encryption codes, which you have. I put it out there, and the powers that be have it. And you have the candidate numbers and the office number from the election commission. They tell you how to write out a check to a third party on a smartphone, walk within 5 feet of the slots where you put your card in so you can get your ballot up. Press send, and you have corrupted that machine immediately and every other machine in the precinct in 10 minutes and every machine in the whole system within an hour. And you can control the elections. It's out there. And it's been out there for 16 years, according to the feds, and they put the money up 12 years ago, and these damn fools like Tammy Sawyer won't simply sign off on this. We, the Below-Sign County commissioners, do hereby resolve that the Diebold voting machine should be replaced, and then sign off. Now, she introduced and sponsored and signed off on a resolution to allow the county to spend $250,000 of federal funds to buy a 47-year-old, 46-year-old M113 armored personnel carrier. That's a junior grade tank in case the colored folk get out of line on a long, hot summer. Now, she sponsored that resolution, but she won't sign and is against the one to replace the machines. So, like when I ran for DA, there had 2 people on the ballot. Me and Witch Warwick, the lesbian who was in the DA's office. She was the Republican. I was the Democratic candidate. My candidate number was in there. But guess what? During discovery, 3 other candidate numbers were in there, and they got almost 46,000 votes between 3 non-existent candidates. They represented nobody. See, when you go to the machine, you see a name, names. But inside the machine, they have candidate numbers. And they didn't represent write-ins either. They were just nothing. So they were coming out of Foot Homes in South Memphis and North Memphis. I said, that wouldn't be going to the Witch Warwick. That was going to me. I would have won. The last time I won an election, I set a record. It was 1998. I am the only person in the history of Shelby County since 1863 to win every single precinct in a contested election. And my opponent was the son of Pat Harris, who owns the Commercial Appeal. Now, just think about that. That was my second 8-year term. Now, just think about it. And all of these people, nobody, if you notice, 20 years ago, we had more black faces in, more black judges, more black officials, and now you don't. For God's sake, you don't even have a black congressman out of the 9th district that's almost 90% black. And he got the Democratic nomination with 14 black opponents and no runoff. And now he's in, so he's part of the fix. He's in a wheelchair, doesn't do a damn thing for black folk. He does a great deal for LGBTQ and his Jewish constituents. He doesn't do a damn thing for black people. And his showpiece item of legislation, I turned you on to it, was introducing a resolution to require that the congressional cafeteria use only paper drinking straws, no more plastic.
Man, well, my thing is
supporting every damn LGBT cause that is possible to support, nothing to do with middle class whites or black. But that's what you have in. So what has happened here? Is that ready for the revolution? Oh, hell no.
Not by any means. Then my thing is troubling. So I know I talked to Malcolm X's nephew, Ronell Collins, a couple of days ago. And, he grew up with Malcolm in the household up in, his mama's house, Ella. But I'm saying we have really went backwards from that Malcolm X message to a grassroots. He talked about how the Democrats and Republicans were nothing but foxes and wolves, both members of the K9 family, but both of them approach you in different ways, but they're still the same team. And I got these boomers I talk to, or people I talk to, that are just saying, we got to vote for Democrats. We got to get Donald Trump. I said, why we have to get Donald Trump out of office? I like the fact that everything is being exposed under Donald Trump.
Yes.
I love it, because now you're dealing with contradictions.
That jackass little rich boy, adopted son of a mass murderer. I got off on him when I found out he was Lolo Sotoro's adopted son.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, I was paying attention to Lolo Sotoro. They had an aborted revolution in Indonesia, 1959, 60, 61. Mm-hmm. Well, Lolo Sotoro, in addition to being executive vice president for Standard Oil, was in fact head of the death squad for the Indonesian army. And I was fascinated that this dude had not been charged with war crimes and crimes against humanity because he was a mass murderer. They had been attributing 500,000 dead folk to him. And that's the last president's functional de facto father. He adopted him when he was about 2 years old and left that clown a trust fund that made him the richest person ever to sit in the White House. And he drove a ragged car. That was because he was putting on a show. They were putting on a show. Daddy was a spy master. His mama's mother, his grandmama, was a spy master. And he's related to everyone we hate by blood. There is one bad dude in American history. An astonishingly bad somebody. I commend this guy. His name is Samuel Hinckley, late of Cape Cod. He died in 1662. He had been an indentured servant, but he can claim 7 U.S. presidents as his direct descendants. The 2 Bushes, Barack Obama, and 4 more. 3 more. 4 more. And he can also claim Dick Cheney as a blood relative of his. So Dick Cheney, Barack Obama, George W. and George Herbert Walker Bush are all cousins through his mom. Also the billionaire Warren Buffett and actor Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Ain't that interesting?
It is. I mean, I also heard that Obama was trained by the actor Harry Lennox III, the guy who played in the 5 Heartbeats and the general in the Superman movies. He actually was hired by the CIA or the intelligence community to train Barack Obama back in the 90s in Chicago.
His daddy was a contracting killer for the CIA.
I mean, he's an asset. And you know what's troubling? That black folks give this man a pass after 8 years of what he didn't do for us, and now he want to be president now. He want to play president now and bark out commands how we supposed to conduct ourselves. But he had 8 years to do that.
Tell you, jackass, why didn't you do something when you were president for 8 years, asshole?
But you know what? You got some black folks say he always gonna be our president. I say he's a former president. He's not, He's a former president. He didn't do nothing for us then. He's not doing nothing for us now. I don't like how he talked down to black men, how he talked to us specifically, how he talked down to us. I don't like how his wife trying to blame everything on black folks because Hillary didn't get into office. Thank God she did not get into office, so we really be worse off right now. I know it's hard for people to believe that. will be asleep instead of being aware.
By the way, you know something that bothers me? My
What's
whole
that?
life, I've never seen anything like it. Have you been paying any attention to Wall Street?
They're making a killing right now.
Yeah. Now, ordinarily, if the Pope farts twice in a row, stocks drop.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody got caught giving a head job and he got a penis, stocks drop.
Right.
Why, with COVID-19 and all of the civil unrest, do we have the stock market taking off like it's trying to go back to the moon?
Well, y'all trying to go back to the moon. They're doing that SpaceX stuff. They're doing some other stuff that you're not paying attention to.
Well, I'm not happy with that. The moon and Mars belong to all of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Not some shyster corporate entity that's trying to make money off of it.
Who's getting subsidized
It's
by
not
the government?
a charitable foundation, SpaceX. It's a profit-making corporation. So now we got locked into two bad situations. One, to go into space, you not only have to deal with the cost,
Mm-hmm.
you got to deal with the cost plus profit. And the other thing is I was reading some time ago about the sharing of otherwise top secret and restricted technology with SpaceX. Now you have given a board of directors and a corporation the ability to deliver a 20 megaton warhead anywhere on the planet Earth. You've given them what they need to make a super ICBM. That's the James Bond nightmare. Dr. No, Goldfinger and all that mess. Blowfield.
Yeah, he's a weird cat. He's very eccentric. But I'm saying, but the government giving him billions of dollars of taxpayer money to do what he's doing to make a profit.
Yeah, but you
That's
gave him what he needs to rent out a delivery system to drop a nuclear bomb anywhere on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can you see them getting up to their international treaties saying that no commercial exploitation, but can you see this asshole when he gets up there and gets to paying people off? And they're on Mars trying to divvy up the land rights and claim, and then on the moon, now you got private enterprise involved.
Yeah. That's why I say I don't trust these corporations that's apologizing to black people right now about what's going on. Like you said, there's a lot more.
Apologize to black folks. They're insulting them because you know what? They're paying money out to our enemies like BLM. And these organizations that represent the gay contention that they're funding. Good for the gays, but we ain't ready for a damn thing when we let them take over. And by the way, you know what this is?
Right.
From our perspective, this is a lot of black folks that are tired of being black. So they got a new minority they can join.
Yeah.
All they got to do is drop their pants, bend over, and get it up the butt. Or get out and spread somebody and go down on her if they are her. And they're members. Or go fake out to be the other one or start trying to seduce children. And now that is the initiation. So now they're members of a new minority. They have friends in high places.
This is Bear Rustin's wet dream. I always tell people, I look at it now, James Baldwin, whatever you might have think he was, or I heard people say he was acting like he was gay, he was really gay. I heard from some people I trust. But that's neither here or there. But he didn't put his sexuality before race. He was talking about homosexuality.
But it isn't homosexuality I'm objecting to. I don't care what the hell somebody does in their bedroom.
Right.
It's the social policy, the political policy that comes from it.
Mm-hmm.
From some of them who belong to this club who have been initiated. And like they are the real Illuminati.
Yeah. I just think it's weird, though, how did the trans and the lesbian and the homosexuality become identified with black struggle? like how they use that as a Trojan horse to. I just like if you go back in time, I look at somebody like Fannie Lou Hamer. She would not approve of what's going on right now because she understood there's the black family. I mean, this is a woman that lived most of her life in Mississippi on the plantation. Didn't know she could vote till she was 40s, but she knew that the white feminists could not be trusted. And here you got, I had talked to a sister, an educated sister, yesterday, and she was mad at black men for voting for Trump. But I'm saying it's the white women that betrayed y'all. Y'all put y'all gender before race. Y'all putting everything before the black race, before the black family, and this is what we're getting. And then you're telling me I got to vote for Democrat or else. I said, I don't understand that. Because Joe Biden is a product of Stennis and Eastland and Thurman.
When I was
Look, man, when I was chief public defender, I was in my office waiting for the traffic to die down. And I'm listening to a speech on my little miniature portable TV of Joe Biden lauding his heroes, Stennis, Faber, Wallace, et al., and talking about they were his mentors, and he intends to dedicate his future career to pushing their principles. He's the senator from Delaware, which is one of the most racist states in the country.
Right.
It's a little bitty rinky-dink place that does not even have an airport other than 2 private airports in the whole damn state. It is so small. It is so small that one time, 20-some years ago, I literally jogged across the whole damn state. It wasn't but 7 miles wide, just on the lark.
I've been to Delaware.
Any state you can run across in one day ain't crap.
Right.
And that's where he's from.
He's from Pennsylvania too, Judge. That's a racist state. Come on. You know, you got Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and Alabama in the middle. That's Pennsylvania. That's Scranton.
You know, Biden.
Oh my God, he does so much damage to us, man. The crime bill, all this stuff he's done to black people, and black folks still going. I mean, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. I say you ain't a porch monkey. You a porch monkey, you vote for him. You a Uncle Stephen. You vote for Biden.
Yeah, well, that cracker Peckerwood from that racist southern state, Delaware, trying to tell me about being black, he can go to hell. I've been black as long as he's been white.
Right.
And I hate to use bad language, but he used it with us. He used it with us.
Well, Obama got the nerve, like the way he talked, like Jesse Jackson had it right when he said Obama trying to cut off black dudes' balls, and how he talked down the graduates of Morehouse, like, you know, like we just nobody. And he talked to white folks differently. He had the governor from Arizona point a finger in his face. He should have bit it off like Hannibal Lecter. He let these white folks talk down to him, and he talked down to black people. Ain't really much of, you know, just then his wife, the way she treat him, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, come on. Really?
You know what was funny? Biden sewed up the nominations. The Democratic Party nomination. The other day, right? Well, little birdie on the wall flying around, been spreading it around that the party mascot shook Mr. Biden's hand and then told him, he said, look, from one jackass to another, try not to let President Trump kick our asses too bad. Little bird says, Mr. Biden, looking befuddled, paused, and then in kind of a confused fashion, all of a sudden his eyes lit up and he says, oh, goody, rough trade. Yeah, that's what I think about it. We have been betrayed by the Democratic Party. They were founded at the turn of the 17th, 18th, 19th century, 200 years ago, 200 plus years ago, on the premise that they were going to help spread slavery into the new territories. The Republican Party got founded in the early 1850s, 1851. Part of their platform and their articles of incorporation dealt with, they were about abolition.
I mean, Frederick Douglass was one of the founders, right? He was one of the founders of the Republican Party.
Ending slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Well, under FDR and then Truman, they got the Democratic Party, got black folk because of economic imperatives. Then all of those racists known as the Dixiecrats left about 1968 and went over to the Republican Party. And since then, the Democratic Party has said, screw the blacks, we own their vote. We don't have to do a damn thing for them except say nice platitudes, and we got their vote guaranteed. So meanwhile, since most of them have become, well, most of the Democrats have become quite gay, and they say we can use the black vote to advance the gay cause. So we really ought to be calling ourselves not Dixiecrats anymore, but Demogatics now.
Demogatics, I'm how to use that. I mean, we're in trouble, Judge, because the Democrats were the architects of the Southern Manifesto back in the 50s. And really,
yes,
Republicans helped pass the Civil Rights Act. It was Republican votes that helped pass the Civil Rights, the party of Lincoln, still in 1960.
That is very true.
So how did we write the history on us? And then the Democrats created the Klan, and then the Klan creators came out of Memphis, Albert Pike and
that is so true indeed. The Democrat Party and the Klan are one in one. The white
Forrest was a Democrat, Pike was a Democrat.
And the idea that the black folk in the Carolinas got that clown Biden in the position he's in now is a disgrace to the black race.
Yeah, Obama legitimized him, though. Obama gave us Trump and Biden. It was the Barack Obama that gave us Trump and Biden.
Well, Obama took Trump's money back when.
He took his money.
And Hillary took his money, too, back when.
Trump was a Democrat. He's the cousin of Hillary. Trump and Hillary are related.
Yeah, so, you know.
And Donald Trump did it with the Klansmen, too.
He's not being nice. He hurts people's feelings.
He hurts everybody's feelings. He's an equal opportunity offender, though. And then what I like about the Trump judge is that he didn't blame black folks for the civil unrest. He blamed Antifa and the far left. He knew what we were dealing with. Because mostly them out there protesting than us, burning down stuff. He knew
somebody has been trying to make this go viral because he recorded it before Twitter took it down.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen what Twitter said violated copyright that they took down?
Oh, you're talking about the commercial he did, the Allstate parody?
No.
What?
He did nothing but pictures.
Okay.
It's a slide montage. And it shows black people grieving behind Floyd. It shows black injustices. Two black folk, rather.
Okay.
It shows white folk with the Confederate flag. It shows white people breaking down windows and trashing places and running out with loot.
Mm-hmm.
It shows police jacking black folk up. So they banned it for a copyright infringement thing.
That what Trump put up on Twitter?
Yep.
Interesting. So you're trying to show that black folks actually had legitimate grievances, whereas white folks had opportunities.
It's a pro-black thing, but they're so anxious to make sure he gets no brownie points.
You know what? He's gonna have to history. Whoever writes the history. I mean, people got to be fair and balanced. Like people so overboard with Obama, they a bunch of Obama files. They not really being. Cause I ain't gonna never forget when I heard Eric Holder when he became Attorney General. That speech he did, when he talking about if we don't deal with the issue of race as a nation, then we're a nation of cowards. And you look at how many black folks were killed and how many things happened on Obama's watch with 2 black attorney generals. At least with Truman, I go back to Harry Truman, when Sergeant Isaac Woodard was blinded by a South Carolina sheriff in his uniform. He was, they blinded this man, the sheriff did, with his nightsticks. He called in the Department of Justice. He was furious. This is Truman from Kansas City, who was thinking about becoming a Klansman, but he didn't do it because his mentor, Tom Pendergast, was a Catholic, the power broker in Kansas City. But he was so outraged what they did to this black man in uniform, he called into the Department of Justice, and although that sheriff did not go to jail, did not face any punishment, he still was inspired to desegregate the armed services because of what happened to that one black man in uniform.
How was that? He was the first black president to speak to a black organization.
In ACP.
He caught hell for it and almost lost re-election.
Oh, yeah. He thought he was going to lose. Yeah.
He said, in fact, it was NAACP, which is a different organization then. He said, look, there is no earthly reason why the Negro in this country is treated any differently than anybody else. You have amply earned your full citizenship rights and full equity in this country. And as president, I intend to see that you are treated that way.
And this is a guy that wanted to be a Klansman at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Truman wanted to be a Klansman. He didn't do it.
Oh, but Trump's a racist. I said, tell me one damn racist thing he's ever said.
And what they say, people can't give you no answer. They can't give you no direct. Like,
I usually get somebody, he say it all the time. Well, what?
Then the media
I heard it on CNN. Yeah, what?
CNN got to act. They not being objective when they deal with Trump though, and they also do sound bites. They don't play his whole speeches. You got to go online sometimes to find whole speeches he did. They'll take stuff out of context about Trump.
We hate Mr. Trump because Boss Trump won't give them some rough trade that they want.
Right.
He don't play that. They keep fantasizing having rough trade with Boss Trump.
Boss Trump. Mm-hmm. So Master Biden ain't getting you a damn thing. Y'all still in love with him?
Oh, Biden's one of them. There's been rumors out on him for 45 years.
These guys, man.
Ordinarily, I wouldn't go by rumors, but in his case, yeah. Offset this garbage they try to spew about him being good for black folks. He's a bench warmer. Every damn thing he does is from the perspective of a bumpkin that grew up in a bumpkin state with connections with the people who own the state as mostly their private property. You get to Delaware and DuPont owns the roads. Built the highways, built the schools, built the streets.
And
he got stuff so far up his butt from the DuPont family, it's a shame.
Is that a place is Delaware like the tax shelter for corporations as well too?
It's so small. Going from one side of Memphis to the other, you've been across the whole damn state of Delaware.
Man, I don't know, man. We are in terrible shape right now. We have no type of national or local leadership.
This is the only state that has no airport. You got to fly into Philadelphia to get in Delaware.
Wow.
And I've had occasion to work there.
Mm-hmm. Now, Judge, I got to ask you about this. I think it's very important for me with the Louisville situation with Breonna Taylor. I know you well are familiar with that situation. That this black woman was killed in her bed, shot 8 times, no-knock raid by plainclothes police officers.
It's happened in Memphis. It's happened in Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, New York, Illinois, California.
Okay.
It's a danger. It is going to be, it's not criminal, but it's highly negligent, and somebody's going to be paying out a lot of money. It was negligent that dispatch, and I suspect some lazy somebody had to go take a smoke break
didn't tell these cops that that's not the right address. The wrong address was phoned to them or given to them through dispatch. Dispatch did not communicate that the suspect they wanted was in custody. So they pulled off a no-knock raid because they had a dangerous person they were after. That's permitted. The guy, her brother, who shot at them was taken into custody, but they've released him with no charges because what he did was justified. You see, there's a balance in here.
I'm surprised he didn't actually kill one of those cops, or they didn't kill him to just cover it up.
Can't shoot that well.
Hmm.
See, this was not an experienced squad. Unless you got a Dirty Harry going.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some who seem to be caught up with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 kills. And nobody else on the department has even bagged one the way they put it. See, most of them freak out. I can take the average cop on the range and put a silhouette target up at 10 yards. He'd do well to hit it.
Mm-hmm.
The adrenaline's flowing. This guy is scared crap about to piss on himself. He's shaking. His aim isn't too good. You know?
Mm-hmm.
They just don't shoot. And the guy didn't shoot back too well either.
So I'm saying, I'm surprised the guy didn't kill anybody. I mean, they killed your girlfriend, your woman, and you just didn't do Charles Bronson death wish on him, and they allowed him to live. So I'm saying, if I was a corrupt cop, why would I allow this guy to live to tell his story?
Because it broke down before they killed him, and somebody said, "Oh shit, we got the wrong place."
So they really did have the. So you think it was an actual honest mistake?
Yeah, it happens all the time.
It happens too often, though, Judge. I mean, you killing grandmas in the middle of the night. I mean, when the Atlanta grandma got killed and they raided the wrong home, supposedly.
Are you killing a bunch of them?
Huh?
How many do you know about?
I know about incidents like that.
How many? Just the ones you heard of.
3. That girl in Detroit, the little baby, the 10-year-old, I don't know how she was a little kid that got killed by the cops in her bed in Detroit. Then the grandma down in Atlanta, maybe about 10 years ago sometime.
In the last 15 years, how many have you heard about?
About like that, 3. I would say 3 off the top of my head.
Okay, divide 3 by 330 million. What percentage, microscopic percentage do you get?
It's not even worth it. I can't do the numbers, but I know it's very, 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 very,
in
very
other
small.
words, reality, it did not exist.
But how many go underreported, though? We don't report. They report certain
You
cases.
add all of them in, say 150, 300 instances over 10, 12 years, divided by 330 million, and factor in 10, that doesn't even come up to a blip in reality. See, it's rare.
Mm-hmm.
How many people get killed in accidents that nobody hears about? Drive down the freeway here, and you see those signs lit up.
Yeah.
This time last year, 426 highway deaths in Tennessee. Don't be number 427.
Right.
Do you hear about 427? No, they happen, don't they?
Hmm.
But it's a blip.
I think maybe they should have you as a PR person then. Maybe they don't have the right PR people to spin this thing. Because
it's tragic and it's extreme negligence, but you see, in our ignorance as a public, we don't know the difference between negligence and criminality. All of these people, my point with bringing up all these people killed, is what happens, somebody caused these accidents, right?
Mm-hmm.
They put all these people in jail, or is somebody's insurance company paying out because of the negligence for the party? It was at fault.
Mm.
See, this was negligence. Every time somebody is killed, it's not criminal. In a war, you get a medal.
Right.
You don't get an indictment, you get an award. You don't know.
Okay, what about? Let me ask you about this. I'm gonna be straight up with you on this.